What is the affordable armory and what does affordable mean? So, when I was getting into guns, everybody told me, like, you need a Glock or you need a Smith & Wesson or you need a Sig Sauer. Don't buy a High Point. Don't buy a Taurus or a Sky or whatever because they all suck. And, no one really said why. They just said they suck. Like, you need a Glock, you need this, you need that. Don't buy those guns. And me being the curious person that I am, I wanted to know. So I just started buying them because why not? They're cheap, right? So my idea with the affordable armory is buy the cheap guns and see if they work originally. Now, my idea of the affordable armory has since changed, and I'll get to that when we talk about the meaning of affordable. But originally it was try out the Taurus guns, try out the Skies, guns like that, and just test them, see if they work. And it started out originally, I was just on Instagram, and then I found myself filming myself at the range. So I thought, okay, let me start posting these videos on YouTube because it's taking up a lot of space on my phone. And then that turned into, well, let me do a more formal thing where I'm actually talking to the camera and it's not just me shooting the guns. And then I moved into doing unboxings and stuff like that. And it's just kind of progressed from there. Still an ever evolving thing. But that's the general direction that it's gone. Started with, like I said, just figuring out, are these cheap guns viable? Do they work? And as you guys know, if you've watched my channel, some of them are very, very good. The Taurus G2C, for example, I've got a couple thousand rounds through that gun. Awesome little pistol. Can't say enough about it. The only thing I didn't like about it was that it was very hard to replace the sights on it. And then the G3C came out and solved that problem because you can put Glock sights on that gun. So problem solved. Plus with the G3C, you get an extra magazine. So even better. That's still probably the number one high value budget, if you will, pistol on the market, in my opinion. And it's going to be really hard to beat that one. So another question for you guys. What's your favorite budget pistol or affordable pistol, if you will, or high value pistol, depending on how you define it? Like I said, mine is the Taurus G2C or the G3C. There are some other good options out there. Let's move on. We'll talk about what affordable means, at least to me, and then y'all can put in the chat what you think of when you hear affordable. So at first, I kind of assigned a number, and that number was $500. So the gun had to be less than $500. Now, at the time, there wasn't a whole lot as far as good guns, or at least decent guns in that price point. It's improved significantly. There's a whole lot of them now. The Stoeger STR9 comes to mind. The ATI FXS9 I reviewed recently. That gun is really, really good. Both of those pistols can be had for about $300, which puts them right on par with the Taurus. But it's, I don't know. Originally, like I said, $500 was what I thought of as affordable. All right, what I thought most people would be willing to spend on a gun. Since then, my opinion has kind of changed for a couple reasons. One is if your budget is $500, then that already rules out Glock, Smith & Wesson, Sig Sauer, those types of guns, and then on up. So right off the bat, those guns are out the door. So even if you find a Glock for $500, which is hard to do unless you're law enforcement or military or first responder, then you get a discount. But a new Glock for $500 is pretty much next to impossible. So right off the bat, the standard, everyone's like the Glock 19, still to this day, probably the gold standard that we hold every gun up against, right? Is this new gun the Glock 19 killer? So like it or not, that's the standard. And so my definition of affordable changed because of that, but also thinking about, say you go do buy that Glock. Well, you have no money left over for spare magazines. You have no money left over for ammunition. You have no money left over for holster, all sorts of stuff, let alone training, which you should get training. So $500 really isn't enough. And if you're only going to spend $500, then the gun you buy should be like close to half of that. I mean, I would think your budget, if it's $500, your gun should be a Taurus then, because then you're at $300, and they have money left over for spare magazines, holsters, training, ammunition, that type of stuff. Now, the other reason that it's changed, so that's reason number one. The other reason that my definition of affordable has changed, if y'all know who Ryder's Range is, if you don't, go subscribe to his YouTube channel because he's super awesome, makes great videos, and I'm super jealous of his backyard where he shoots. But anyway, he I don't know if it's still there, but he had a blog post where he talked about affordable. He did a series of videos called the Great Affordable 1911, and he's talking about guns that are like $1,600, and I'm like, whoa, how is that affordable? And so in his blog post, he explains that, affordable could be, well, one, it's a relative term. What's affordable to me is not necessarily affordable to you. But also, you could save money, right? Stop going to Starbucks every day, take that money, set it aside, and then eventually you'll be able to afford that gun that you really want. So it's a matter of budgeting. Again, we keep talking about budget, but it's also a matter of saving your money and just being patient. The big part, being patient. A lot of those 1911s that he reviewed, he bought used. So he may have paid $1,200 for a $2,000 gun because he found a used one. So there's my two thoughts on affordable.